Would you like to work closer to home, save money on gas, and be rewarded for your hard work and attendance? Then Bellisio Foods is looking for you. That's right, Bellisio Foods is now hiring for multiple positions and shifts with great employee benefits, an on-site health clinic, competitive wages, and advancement opportunities. Bellisio Foods is a company that truly values their employees. Apply online at BellisioFoods.com/careers.
The Jackson County Fair Board, in conjunction with Total Media, proudly present Neil McCoy. Neil McCoy. Saturday, July 15th at the Jackson County Fair. VIP track access seats now available for only $30, which includes admission to the fair. Get tickets now at JacksonCooHFair.com or at the Total Media Studios in Jackson.
Well, happy Monday, everyone. Pete Wilson is here in the house, and it's a sunny Monday.
Right. And I tell you what, it is the day after Jennifer's birthday.
It is.
So we have to acknowledge that.
Aw, thanks. You guys
Another
are
year
sweet.
older, and you can't tell.
Maybe that's because it's another year and your eyes are getting worse.
Oh, well, no, I don't think so.
Oh, but no, I want to thank everyone here. So it's a tradition here at Total Media that Brittany comes up with these crazy birthday cards for everyone.
Yeah, she could go to work for the comedy side of Hallmark.
That's exactly right. More like a Spencer's or something, because she's sick and twisted with her cards. But so I got my card this morning. So thank you to the staff, and everybody signed it. You guys are the sweetest. And Courtney bought cupcakes. So
I saw that. Now that means that when they do that you get the first 10.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, the first 10 cupcakes. So I mean,
oh my gosh!
Don't be shy, or people will hold back until you've had your you've had your feeding. It's
like you gotta like break the ice. The first one has to get taken out, and then it's okay from there, right?
That's right.
Well, thank you all, and no, we appreciate that so much. Had a fun day yesterday. Just sat at home and had a couple people stop by and say hey, and that was good.
Yep. It was.
It's nice to sit on your butt sometimes, huh?
Sunday is a nice day for a birthday.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's an off day for the most part, and you can do what you want. So I hope you did.
Yeah, sure thing. Well, Pete, there is quite a bit of stuff going on. Of course, always coming off the weekend, there's a lot to talk about. We have the Jackson County Fair coming up.
Yeah, we do. And we've been doing some preview work on that, Jennifer. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. I put our own Jeremiah Shaver on a lot of that advanced work. We'll all cover the fair, but I put him on the advanced story, and he did quite a bit of work. We're going to have a sprawling story in our Wednesday paper.
Sprawling. I like that word.
Sprawling. Day by day, a lot of detail, because, the fair always rolls around. There are some staples that you can always count on, but there's always some changes and revisions and like that. And there were, again, this year. And so Jeremiah is going to share a brief overview when he comes on a little bit later and talk mainly about the things that are occurring here in the first several days of the fair. And remember, the fair is extended. There is actually a fair activity on Wednesday, July the 12th. That's 2 days from now.
Oh, my goodness. So, you're kidding.
No, he'll tell you about that. And then we have 2 nights of harness racing on Thursday and Friday. And then, of course, one of the fair's big days, and this is before, the fair is completely kicked off. No rides until Monday. There'll be some food vendors there. Some booths may not be open till Monday. But on Saturday, not only do we have the big Neil McCoy concert, which we've been talking about for months now, but also that is the evening, or late afternoon, I guess is the way to say it. Late afternoon, that is when they're going to do the opening fair ceremony.
Okay.
Where, they make some announcements. They kind of formally kick things off. And we hear from some public officials that are there, some fair board people. But the big event of that particular activity is the crowning of the Junior Fair Queen. and Madeline Fannin and all her court members will officially be crowned. And
So awesome.
So a lot coming up, and we'll certainly be covering the fair, and we'll have a lot more to say about that when we're on later in the week and next week as well. Of course, the radio will be there, I think, every day doing live broadcasts, and I know Main Street TV will be playing. We'll be covering it as well.
That's
and
right.
we'll be talking about it on TV and on the radio, and of course, extensive coverage in the paper as well. So all that is coming. So Jeremiah will be talking about that. Phil Buffington, our associate editor, covered a very eventful Wellston City Council meeting last Thursday. And he's going to be covering several of those things that were covered in that meeting. And, three very important topics kind of came up. You have the pool and rec levy that they would like to put on. They're going to do a third and final reading at a special meeting tonight. And that's a $5 million levy, so it could help pay for a new pool. Wellston does not have a pool anymore. Then the second thing is an ordinance or legislation that would authorize some spending to purchase the Louvie building in downtown Wellston. A lot of back and forth on that, on whether the city should jump in and try to save it, and that is the way they're moving anyway. But this will be the final decision tonight to allocate that $10,000, I believe was the sale figure. And then they're also going to allocate money to be the kind of like the spearhead of the Wellston Sesquicentennial. So that'll be really exciting. They're already having meetings in conjunction with council, before council, city people and non-city people doing planning things. And a lot of the, as Phil will say, a lot of the things that are going to take place with the Sesquicentennial will be in conjunction with the Ohio Hill Country Festival there the first week of September, which makes sense because way back when, in 1973, when they did the centennial celebration in Wellston, which kind of spawned the Ohilco Festival. It started the very next year.
I didn't even think about that. That would make sense.
So that only makes sense to kind of to tie it in with your hometown festival.
Sure.
All right, we're going to cover some other news now. On the Thursday evening, June the 29th, we haven't got this in the paper yet, but I hope to get it in this week. But this was notable. The Jackson County Republican Party had its Lincoln Day dinner. That is their big coming out party every year. It was held at the Christ Church Family Life Center. And the speaker was Congressman Brad Winstrup.
Okay.
He is the 2nd District Congressman. There he is he gave a 40-minute speech, really covered what was going on in Washington, some of the things that he's involved in. He has been on the national news in recent weeks because he is in charge of the House subcommittee on reviewing the COVID situation, how the government handled the COVID situation.
Okay.
So he's been interviewed quite a bit on national networks. And so he talked about that and talked about himself too, because, he's still getting acquainted with people in this end of the district because the district lines were redrawn. And even though Congressman Winstrup has been in Congress since 2013,
kind of new to our area.
His district was, the lines were redrawn, and now they include some counties he didn't have before, and that includes both Jackson County and Benton County. So, but there were some other things there, some local awards. The Jackson County Republican Party always has a Republican of the Year award where, they honor somebody who makes a difference. And this time they did it a little bit different. They now have a party headquarters building. I think you remember. It's where the old American Legion building used to be in Jackson on Morton Street. Right. Well, they did a fundraising campaign to be able to buy that building from the American Legion. And what they decided to do was they decided to make the Republican of the Year thing a group thing for the patron donors. These are the donors that gave the most amount of money. We're talking about, the higher amounts of money. And they had a big plaque there, a big board with engraved plaques on there with the names of these donors.
Cool.
And this was one of the main things that they did at the party. There is party chairman and county commissioner Donnie Willis on the left, Jackson County Commissioner and party leader John Hensler on the right, showing off that very nice board.
Mhm.
As you can see, engraved plaques with some of the big donors, and they pointed out there's still room for more. They're still collecting money on that. But they
Gotcha.
were so thrilled that they were able to collect as much as they could. The Legion was looking to sell the building, and the Republican Party had always had a temporary headquarters during the campaign.
Yeah, kind of somewhere in downtown.
Right,
Or
right. And Phil Bowman, the late Phil Bowman, who
Mhm.
was Central Committee chairman for many years, you call him Mr. Republican. Of course, he
Mhm.
passed away here in the past year. And so that's not necessarily an option anymore because he just donated basically the use of one of these downtown properties,
Correct.
maybe not always the same place. And so they decided to, take what they considered a step forward and actually purchase or at least get it started, this process of purchasing the building from the Legion. John Hensler, who is there on the right, he was named the benefactor of the year, not so much for what he gave, that's John on the left and Donnie Willis on the right, not so much for what he gave, I'm sure he donated, but it was because he led the fundraising drive.
Oh, cool.
He's the one that
Okay.
made the calls, tried to sell some of the Republican loyalists and party people on the need for donations for this. And, we're not talking about buying a ticket. We're talking about a larger donation.
Yeah.
Had to add up to buy real estate these days.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
so John Hensler was honored as the benefactor of the year. Now, there was a special award. They called it Special Recognition. Another lady, and she was so touched by this, and I know you know her well, Kathy Smalling.
Yes.
Received the Special Recognition Award. Is she such a dear?
Yes,
There
she
she
is.
is on the left with Donnie Willis presenting her plaque for special recognition. Donnie pointed out that Kathy has been a party stalwart for 50 years or more.
Sure.
She's been very active as a poll worker, as a party worker, a party loyalist.
Yes.
More recently, she was on the Jackson County Elections Board.
That's right.
She did step down just a year or so ago from
Yep.
that, but she remains an active member of the party. And I tell you what, Kathy and her husband Chip, were there at the banquet. It was a surprise, and she was emotional, so
Good.
touched that the party did that for her. And
That's
so,
really cool.
So
well deserved.
We'll have this coverage coming up in the paper this week, including the photos that you have just seen here on TV.
Love that.
So that is coming up. Okay, this is a notable business story out of the city of Wellston. More and more, Jennifer, automobile dealerships are becoming, it's the big guys that do it.
Sure.
It has to be a big operation almost. Well, there is a dealership that opened in Wellston, and it's not new cars, but it's a lot of used cars.
Okay.
And it's called McKinley Auto Sales II. And they had a ribbon cutting ceremony last week, and this building is just down from the American Legion post there on South Pennsylvania Avenue in Wellston,
Okay.
1046 South Pennsylvania Avenue, and the owner is Juan Rios. Now, if that name sounds familiar to you,
Wait. Yeah.
Juan Rios.
Okay. Yeah, I know Juan.
Okay, he is also the owner of the Viva Jalisco
Yeah.
restaurant in downtown Wellston. And he's had a good experience in Wellston. And he and another partner have been involved with a similar used car dealership in Columbus. And it's called McKinley Auto Sales. And so this is being called McKinley Auto Sales II.
Okay.
And so his other partner is Maribel Ramirez. He runs the show in Columbus. Rios says that he intends to have, a good amount of cars and offer great prices. And he wants to make it easy to buy a car without it costing an arm and a leg, with the good financing terms that you can do. But it's going to be open Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 5, and on Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 2. And as you can see at the ribbon cutting, some both city and county leaders came out to celebrate, to wish them well there at McKinley Auto Sales II.
That's great.
Wellston Mary Anthony Brenner is in there. Sheriff Ted Frazier is in there. A couple of representatives from Main Street, Tina Stroud
Mhm.
and Donna Smith are there. Sam Brady of the Jackson County Economic Development Partnership is there. And so They do have a Facebook page where you can get more information, and we will have this story in our Wednesday paper. But that was just
Great.
that was just last week that they had that big ribbon cutting. So you're driving by Pennsylvania Avenue. You take a look to your left as you're heading north on Pennsylvania Avenue. That's a pretty big deal right there.
Yeah, it is. That looks
For
great.
Wellston, and it always helps to have many choices, for your cars. I
Sure.
think probably maybe more people than in the past are looking at used cars because the price of automobiles, like everything else, have gone up a lot.
It's quite expensive.
Right, and not only have the new cars gone up, but the used cars have because of the demand. And so, here is another option locally. And I know one in Wellston that I'm sure will be very convenient for people who live in town and nearby. All right, the Jackson City Board of Education in their last meeting welcomed a number of new teachers and a new student representative.
Okay.
And Dylan's going to put their picture up here in just a second. But the new, okay,
more than 1 second.
right. Well, we sent him up. We sent him
There
a lot
we
of
go,
pictures.
yeah.
But this is the student representative and the new teachers. This was the school board meeting in June, and so this is kind of like filling out the staff for the new school year. But the new teachers are from the left: Kelly Wall, Ashlyn Denny, Cassidy Bach, Cassie Ridley. Then you have Superintendent Phil Howard right there in the middle. You have Kendall Neal, one of the new teachers, and the new student representative is A.J. Graham, the next to last on the right, and on the far right is new teacher Tiffany Fout. I want to say something about A.J. Graham. A.J. Graham will be a senior at Jackson High School, and he will be the third student representative.
I think that's such a good idea.
This is something that's really worked out
Really
for the
cool.
schools. It is kind of like a liaison person between the students and the school board and the administration. And many students are always interested in this, and so it's quite a contest to see who gets it. But A.J. Graham did. A.J. Graham, as I said, will be a senior. He's been active in a lot of school activities, including sports. He's a member of the football team, a member of the baseball team, and he was one of the young men on that fishing team that went to the national tournament.
That's so cool.
So congratulations to A.J. Graham. And once again, he will be, the liaison, the bridge between the students and the powers that be.
Love that.
In the Jackson City School District. All right, our own Jeremiah Shaver. Of course, he's been doing a lot with the fair, but he had time last Wednesday to go to the Colton Village Council meeting, and they did they adopted a pair of resolutions on an emergency basis to get a couple of levies on the ballot, or at least to start the process to do that for November. And those two ballots are a general fund levy, and the other one would be a police protection levy. Now, Colton, of course, has limited income. They've just finished this. They're in the final touches of doing the sanitary sewer system, which was big. But this money would not go to that. General operations is what the one levy would go for. And the general fund levy would bring in about $20,000 a year if it's passed. The trash fund is hurting in Colton, so that's one place it would go. The water fund also has some short funds as well. And so they're hoping that this would, kind of plug the leaks there a little bit. So that would be a levy for the general fund. The police protection levy, we have to roll the tape back a little bit there. Colton used to have a village marshal or a police chief. Then they contracted with the Jackson County Sheriff's Office. Well, that contract ended, and they did not renew more than a year ago. Well, obviously, they would like to have some law enforcement presence in Colton if they can.
Thing. Yeah.
So if they pass this levy, if they do decide to put it on, they will, right now they're going through the process to determine how much money they'll bring in and the technical stuff you have to do with the county auditor and like that. That they have to file it no later than August 9th. So they got to move. And so that was one of the reasons they passed these emergency resolutions. But if they pass the police protection levy, there's several ways they could go. They could have their own police department, hire a village marshal or something. They could contract with the sheriff's office again, or they
Okay.
might even contract with the police department. I wasn't sure you could do that, but they talked about that as one of the options. Of
Like
course,
maybe Wellston or Jackson
or Wellston right
Okay.
down the road. Or
Yeah.
maybe they would contract with an officer from one of those departments
Okay.
when he wasn't on duty with his regular police department. All right, the McKee Paving Company should be back at work this week in Jackson. And last Friday afternoon, the city officials announced the next streets to be paved. And so pay attention, because if the pavers are on your street, you should be aware that traffic will be restricted there, and that you can't park along the street, of course, so they can pave. But here are the streets that are targeted for paving here in the coming days. The section of Huron Street from David Avenue to Bennett Avenue, all of Euler Avenue, the section of Columbia Street from Main Street to Water Street, the section of Portsmouth Street from Main Street to Water Street, the section of Locust Street from Main Street to Water Street. So those are the ones that they're working on. If you can think of all those, we do have those posted on our Facebook page and on our website, by the way. But residents and motorists are asked to comply with the no parking signs that we posted in the paving areas. Now, my experience has been that, of course, right when they're paving, you're not going to drive on that section of the street. But they have done a pretty good job keeping the street open, or at least one lane.
Yeah.
But, that's not necessarily always going to be the case. But I've had people contact me and say, well, will I be able to get out of my driveway and like that?
That's a fair question. I wondered about that.
Well, you might pay attention to when they're working.
Yeah.
And have your car in a place where, it's safe, even if you have to park a block away or something.
Yeah.
Just to be sure.
And it doesn't take very long for them to reopen it, for sure.
No, that is right.
And it's worth it because they look so nice
Right.
paved.
All right. Well, today, Jennifer, is the final day to register to vote.
Yes, it is.
Or update your registration if you want to vote in the August 8th special election. And all county boards of elections, all 88 in the state, that includes Jackson and Vinton County, will have extended hours today as a convenience for people if they need to register to vote or to update their registration. And those hours will be, they had to open at 8 a.m., whether they normally do or not, and it will be open until 9 p.m., so plenty of time in the evening after some people's regular working hours to do that.
Okay.
But remember, you have to be a registered voter, and if your address has changed or your name's changed or something, you got to update your registration to be, to keep your registration valid. Tomorrow, the early voting period will start, and all the way
Already? That's
yes,
crazy.
all the way from Tuesday, July 11th through Friday, July the 28th, boards of election will be open from 8 to 5. Including Jackson and Vinton counties. Then those hours will extend after that, starting on Monday, July the 31st, leading up to the special election on August the 8th. We talked about it a little bit on Friday, but issue one is a proposed constitutional issue put on by the legislature, and it would change the rules on how you amend the Ohio Constitution. Right now, a citizens' initiative petition, which is basically a way for the citizens to put an amendment on that could then be voted. You've got to, if you can get it on there, and to get it on there, you've got to get a lot of signatures. It's a certain percentage of the voters who voted in the gubernatorial election, the preceding gubernatorial election. In this case, by the way, it was over 400,000. Well, the group that wants to put a different amendment on that has nothing to do directly with the constitutional amendment, they've got those number of signatures. At least they have to be checked, but we will see what happens on there.
But they had plenty.
But yes, but the there's two different issues, that you can't separate them, no matter what people try to tell you. But the constitutional amendment would be, that's what we're really voting on. The constitutional amendment change, if it's approved, if there is a yes vote, if the yeses win, it would change from a majority vote to pass a initiative amendment to 60%. So it'd be much harder to pass. Instead of 50% plus one vote, you'd have to have 60% to pass. So it's going to be harder. On one side, the advocates say it shouldn't be easy to change the Constitution. This is a big thing. It's been around since 1912. On the other side, they say hey, to be democratic, shouldn't the majority rule, not the supermajority?
Right. And it's been this way for
Yeah, it's
ever.
been that way since 1912 when
Yeah.
the latest version of the state
And we're talking
constitution.
about Ohio, not nationally. We're talking about the state.
We're talking about Ohio. And this
Yeah.
is the only issue that will be on the August 8th ballot. There isn't anything local. There is nothing district. There's nothing federal. And there's only one issue from the state, and that is this state issue 1. And it is a special election, August the 8th. And historically, the voting turnout on special elections are very, very, very low. And when there's
I would
only
think
one
so.
issue, that's usually why. It kind of sneaks up on you a little bit. So, we had a big article in our Saturday paper, and we'll continue to promote the fact about the voter registration, which your deadline is today, this evening at 9 o'clock. And then, of course, the early voting, which is in-person voting at the boards of elections as well as absentee voting.
I'm curious, Pete, why a special election for one issue?
Why a special election for one issue? It's because, frankly, the people that want to have issue 1 pass, and that is the Republican legislature and maybe some other Republican leaders, they want to try to head off a possible initiative amendment that will be on the November ballot involving abortion rights. Now, that was the one where they've gathered 700,000 signatures all over the state in many of the counties.
Right.
They have the number of signatures provided that, people didn't sign up who aren't registered voters. They got to check those. But if that goes on the ballot, if this passes in a special election, when that amendment goes on about abortion rights, it is about extending abortion rights greater than what the current state law is on what is allowed.
Okay.
The issue one people, if that passes in August the 8th, then it will be 60% that the abortion rights amendment has to pass instead of 50%.
So here we go back to abortion again.
Right. And so it is confusing. You could actually feel this way. I'm not sure it'll work out this way because abortion rights is such a fiery issue one way or the other.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you're being fair-minded, you might be a person who has one feeling about abortion rights, but a different feeling about the constitutional amendment.
Yeah.
But the abortion rights thing is fueling this whole thing.
Sure.
Even though that's not what this is about. It's technically it is about the constitutional amendment, but it will be much harder to pass this initiative or any other initiative that gets on. Also, you would have to have a certain percentage of signatures from 88 counties instead of 44. Right now it's 44.
Correct.
So it would be much harder. So it comes down to this. I mean, if you can just put the abortion rights thing out of your mind, it comes down to whether you feel it should be a supermajority to change the Constitution. The people who are in favor of issue 1, which includes a lot of Republicans, they point out that the national Constitution, the U.S. Constitution, it takes 2/3 vote of Congress and 3/4 of the state legislature, either or both, to be able to change the Constitution. So they say it shouldn't be that easy to change the Constitution, and it shouldn't be easy to do that law. And like I say, on the other side, they say, how is it right that the minority can keep a new amendment on? Because, anywhere from 41% up to 49% could decide that initiative isn't going to become law.
I'm struggling with this one in my mind, Pete. I really am.
Right.
Like, I know how I feel about the abortion thing, and that's everybody is entitled to their opinion on that. So it has nothing to do with that, but I'm struggling with this whole voting about the constitutional, changing constitutions and all of that. It's a lot to think about.
Well, it's never been changed since 1912.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason that it is now, I don't think it's unfair to say it's over this abortion rights thing.
Right.
And it's also true, it must be pointed out, that the Republican legislature and the Ohio Secretary of State were on record in the past of saying special elections ought to be ended because people don't vote on them. They're expensive to do, and people are trying to ram something by in a special election. But then that's exactly what
they're doing.
but it's a free election. Anyone can vote. It's just so both sides are working hard to get out the vote.
Okay.
But it appears that the people who are against issue 1, and maybe a lot of them are abortion rights advocates, are super organized. Super organized.
Very.
They were able to get the requisite number of signatures in Jackson County for Jackson County to be one of those 44 counties that had enough signatures for them to be a contributor of the signatures.
Absolutely. Okay. So vote how you feel. But just vote.
Right. Educate yourself.
Yeah, seriously. It shouldn't be hard to find out the information about this.
Right. Okay, we want to
And
tell
don't read it on Facebook.
Right. Well, you'll get a sampling of opinion there.
I'm sure.
For sure. But a number of highway projects we want to tell you about. The State Route 139 bridge replacement project is supposed to start today. That's a bridge replacement project on State Route 139 south of Jackson between X-Line Road and John Hoops Road. That section of the highway will be closed for 45 days during construction. Now, that was announced earlier.
How do you get around that?
Well, they're going to have a deadline, or a detour rather,
Okay.
via State Route 32, 93, and 279. Locals may know a better way on the smaller roads. But that is one of the projects that is expected to start today, actually, in Jackson County. In Vinton County, there's another one that is supposed to be starting next week, the State Route 324 bridge replacement project. It's supposed to start on Monday, and this involves a bridge on State Route 324 between Township Road 11B and Township Road 11A. The road will be closed for probably about 2 months. It's supposed to reopen. The reopening date projected is August the 17th. So those are two of the projects. There are others too, but those are two of the new ones to talk about. All right. Want to remind everybody that the Oak Hill Village Council will have a special meeting tonight at, let's see, what time is that? Tonight at 6 p.m., and that is to discuss possible zoning changes in the village.
Okay.
It sounds boring, but it's very important.
No, it's important.
The zoning changes on what is allowed and not allowed. And the Oak Hill Village zoning code has not been updated for a long time, and so they're talking about making some changes. This was kind of a meeting for council to discuss it. The public is welcome to come and weigh in. Council will have a regular meeting tomorrow evening at 6:30 p.m. where they may be in a position to decide what to do or what not to do formally. All right, Jackson City Council was supposed to meet tonight, normally do, but they've canceled that meeting, so they won't be meeting until July the 24th, which is 2 weeks from tonight. Also, the Jackson City Board of Education canceled their July meeting, which was supposed to be tomorrow evening. They will not meet again until August, so that meeting not be rescheduled. It's just off. The Wellston City Board of Education was supposed to meet tonight, but they've decided to reschedule the meeting for July the 31st at 7 p.m., and it will serve as a meeting for both July and August. You know, just not as much to do as there is during the school year, and so they'll slim down to one meeting instead of two for the rest of the summer.
Makes sense.
All right. We want to tell you the latest members of the Jackson County Port Authority. The latest appointees to the Port Authority are some names you probably know. Oak Hill area resident Curtis Strickland, Jackson area resident Patrick Ball. They are reappointments. Newly appointed members are Ryan Wright and Mindy Eisnagel. And Angela Spanger recently resigned, so she's one of the persons being replaced. And the ones who are carryover ones, they were not reappointed, and they're not new appointees, and they're in the middle of terms are Carrie Montgomery, Cynthia Steffler, and Bo Bowman. All right, one of the events we had last weekend, we're putting Dylan Euler to work doing things. And it was Lake Alma State Park's Christmas in July
Yeah, so
event.
fun.
It is fun. And Dylan, I asked Dylan to go cover that, trying to give the regular staff a rest between the 4th of July and the fair. And he's an eager beaver.
Yes, he is. We love
very
our
willing
sweet
to do
Dylan.
it. We like eager beavers. But Dylan has given me material through a story and pictures that we'll put in the paper here this week, one of the papers this week. But he also did a video that I think he's ready to show us.
Awesome.
All So, yeah, that was the Santa Claus parade they had going on. This was
Love
for
that.
their Friends of Lake Elma yearly Christmas in July event. They did have a food vendor, and they had like a whole lot of activities going on through the whole day. And trying to figure all this out here. Doop. There we are.
Look at you. Good job, Dylan.
Thanks.
So what all did it looked like they had a big turnout.
They did, and like a lot of the people coming were just like also participating in all of it.
Uh-huh.
And since they had so many activities, there was a lot of participants that could stay throughout the whole event. And one of those was the Cute Kids contest, and this is their
Oh.
0 to 6 month winner girl, Eleanor K. Holiday.
Aw.
And they had a 0 to 6 month boy winner as well, Jaden, and they did not have the last name of him for me.
Okay.
And then they had a girls 6 to 12, girls 12 to 2, 2 to 3, and then boys 2 to 3, 4 to 5, girls 6 to 7, and boys 6 to 7.
Nice. Did they how would you pick? They're all so cute.
I'm not sure.
And Dylan's like, I don't want to be a judge of that.
I think Pete said that he did a judge like that once.
He said he had to do it one time, and he's like, never again am I ever going to do that.
And then they had a camper contest that started like a few hours after I had left, and this is their first place winner.
How cute.
And then they had a second place winner and a third place winner.
That's awesome.
So they held
What a
lots
fun
of
event.
events. It was a fun event. I was only there for a short period, but I had fun just simply being there to take the photos and all.
Have you ever been to Lake Elma before?
A few times in the past. I like to go in the middle island. I'd come out there to just
Yeah.
stroll around there for a while.
It's such a really pretty place out there, and we're so fortunate to have it right here in our area.
Yeah, it's a very nice place just to get away to for a bit.
Yeah. And you can walk all the way around the lake. You can, like you said, you can jump over on the island and walk around. There's some trails over there too, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah. Well, very good. Good job, Dylan.
Thank you.
So that will be in the paper here pretty soon?
This week.
Okay.
All right.
This week.
And before I get out of here, would you like to hear from our friends at Vinton County National
We
Bank?
would love that while we're switching places again.
At Vinton County National Bank, we believe in supporting the areas where we live and work. Now, we'd like to honor those who also serve our communities. Our new Community Champions account is especially for first responders, veterans, active military, and anyone employed in the fields of healthcare or education. This account offers rewards, discounts, and other benefits to those who give so much to others. Vinton County National Bank, rewarding those who serve.
All right, and we're back again with Pete, and then we have Jeremiah over in the wings. So Jeremiah walks in and immediately breaks something.
Okay, I did hear a little crack over there.
Yeah.
Wasn't sure what happened.
He broke me.
Okay. Oh no. Okay.
Can you believe it?
Okay. Well, they can put you back together
They-
again. I'm sure they can.
I think we need to. It's a picture frame that gets knocked off about once a week, so it's fine, Jeremiah. Don't worry about it. We're just trying to make him feel bad for a minute.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So back to news.
A couple of other things before we get Jeremiah away from the picture over
Yeah,
there.
he moved chairs. He's fine now.
The second edition of the Homegrown Happy Hour was held last Thursday.
That's
Another big success. Heard a lot of good things
Huge one. Yes.
about the Sour Mash String Band, and there they are performing there at Rowdy's. Remember, the Homegrown Happy Hour is a live show, 7 p.m. every Thursday. It will continue each week through September the 14th. And it's also heard live on both WYRO in Jackson and WXTQ in Athens.
Yes.
And then it's replayed later on as well. And there'll be
So
things
cool.
posted on Facebook about it. But it was very popular. I know a couple of the staffers who were over there, they had trouble finding a seat. That's how popular.
It was very, very busy.
That's how popular it was.
Yes.
And this week, July the 13th, that's the next one, it'll be Corduroy Brown
Nice.
being the performer. All right, and we want to do a little pitch for the Markay Cultural Arts Center, the Southern Hills Arts Council, and the free summer art classes that they do.
Okay.
They are ready to kick off. They are actually starting tomorrow, Jennifer. It's going to be held on Tuesdays and Thursdays, July 11th through the 27th, those 2 days. It will be 10 to 11. It'll be an hour each day. And the great thing about this is it's through kindergarten to the 4th grade. There are 3 locations in the county, so make it very convenient for the parents.
Great.
One is in Jackson at the Markay. One is in Oak Hill at the Public Library, and one is in Wellston at the depot. There is still time to
Nice.
register your child, but remember the first class is tomorrow, so you want to get on that. But just call or text 740-418-7613. That's as easy as it comes
That's awesome.
to register your child. So I will give way to Jeremiah, who will talk about the fair a little bit.
And break something.
And then Phil Buffington will be in to talk about a very eventful Wellston City Council meeting.
We're just kidding, Jeremiah. Thank you, Pete, so much. All right, come on over, big guy.
Morning, Jen.
Good morning. Well, first off, I need to ask you, how are your tomatoes and things growing?
Oh, the garden is doing great.
We had to stake our tomatoes up again
I
because they just like got all of a sudden so big and they fell over.
Yeah, those
plants.
indeterminate tomatoes, they just keep growing. The one
Yes.
plant, because I got 4, and the one, it's way taller than the tomato cage now.
Oh yeah.
And I was out there watering them this morning, and I was thinking, I'm going to have to get some stakes and construct a little something with rope to kind of hold it up.
That's what we did. We ended up having to put stakes in the ground and then tie the tomato cages to the stakes to try to
give it some
support these suckers. So
I think,
and just think if we get more rain,
yeah,
we're going to be in trouble.
Yeah, they're all 3 of the 4 plants, I think, have tomatoes on them now.
Oh yeah.
One finally, which it was the one I planted late after the other ones because I had accidentally killed one of them when I was planting. But anyway, it finally has.
You broke your tomato plant too, huh?
I did. Well, my great aunt's tomato plants. She brought them up to me. But anyway, I replaced it with a golden jubilee, and I noticed the other day it finally has some flower buds on it.
Oh, cool!
So hopefully those will bloom and it'll kind of catch up with the rest of them. It's much smaller than the rest of them, but now I got cucumbers coming out the wazoo, and the onions, they're starting to bulb. They're probably, I don't know, maybe that size
How
now.
fun.
You can see them above the ground,
Yeah,
just bulbing. And I'd say probably half of the corn is at least 2 to 3 ears of corn per stalk, and they all have the silk coming out of them, and you can see like the little ear of corn, growing.
How
cute.
Yeah,
it's all coming together. Still don't have any peppers. My bell pepper plants, I planted them. I should have started them early, and I didn't.
Well, here's the deal with bell peppers is, and I've noticed this because we've grown them for several years now, is I feel like the plants never get very big, but then they just start spewing out all these peppers, and you're like, what? The plant is like this tall. How is it even supporting all of this?
Right.
But it does. So.
Yeah, so I don't have any bell pepper.
I have a
peppers
few,
yet, but the plants,
small ones.
most of the plants are this tall, if not taller. Nothing. So I don't know if it's just running behind or what. I did notice there was a couple that looked like they had little buds, but
there you go. We're having trouble this year with the deer, unfortunately. So we're having to.
Just like James.
Yes, we're having trouble with them nibbling on our plants. So we had to go out and spray.
Knock on wood, I haven't had any trouble with any wildlife outside of bugs. I did notice there's, I think it's called a squash lady beetle and another type of bug that's been eating on
Uh-oh.
cucumber plants.
Uh-huh.
So a couple of the leaves look like Swiss cheese.
Oh.
Just, So every time I see one of those, I've been, or
Take
getting rid
great
of
delight in flicking it to.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but no, it's coming along, and I've already decided I'm going to double the space next year.
Nice. Very good.
At least the one direction anyway, because it's a 8x10, so I'm gonna make it a 10 by probably 20.
Huh.
And stretch it out a little bit.
There you go. All right, news.
Anyhow, news. Pete
Since
had
Phil's
me-
here to do news, we
right,
got some
running
news, yeah.
a little behind here. I'll make it quick. He only wanted me to go through Sunday.
Okay.
Because of where we'll be back on later in the week. We can
Yeah.
touch on some of the other stuff. So the Jackson County Fair, I know he was talking about the new livestock show that's going to happen on Wednesday.
Okay.
So starting a day early this year, because usually
Pretty
it's
cool.
Thursday, Friday. You got the harness racing. That's the big thing those days. But on Wednesday, July 12th, there's the brand new livestock show, and it's called the Market Steer Carcass Show. Is what it is, and it's just what it sounds like. So they're gonna bring a bunch of steers in. I talked to Jamie Sexton, who's on the livestock committee there, and he's on the fair board.
Okay.
And he said that I think they had 7 or 8 4-H'ers sign up for this. And what they do is they'll bring these steer projects in, and they will go through showing them like they do during the market show, like they would on a Wednesday down there. And they'll place them, first through 8 or 7 or however many there is. In the rule book, it says that if they have more than 10, they'll only place 10, and then those 10 will be selected for slaughter. So these 7 or 8 steers will go out to Circle M meats and be slaughtered and hung. And then on the following Thursday, which is July 20th, everybody's invited out to Circle M Meats to view the market steer carcass, and they're having a hanging show. So then somebody will come and they will judge the carcasses and give them grades. So they're going to grade the carcass and the meat, and the first place winner from that this year will get to sell that first place carcass if it's like graded. I don't know how the grades work. But.
So here's the deal. I think what you're referring to is, okay, so you can have a steer, and from the out, you can't see the inside, right? So, so like, for example, when you go to the grocery store and there will be like, select, like, so if you look at a steak, it'll say like select, or it'll say choice, or it'll say prime on it. So those are ratings of the quality of meat that is.
Right.
So you can look at a steer from the outside and be like, oh, this thing is looking, this thing is spot on.
Right.
And then, but that doesn't necessarily mean when it's butchered that meat would be top notch. So
right. And
I
a lot of these
what
kids
they're
probably
doing.
don't get to see, that second part of the process.
Right. Do they want to?
Apparently these kids do, because they signed up for it.
I guess, yeah.
So like they said, they only had 7 or 8, but they said that if it turns out to be more popular next year, I guess a lot of the local fairs across the state have this as a part of it.
Very interesting.
Mr. Sexton was telling me, I think the Scioto County Fair does steers and goats and some other carcass shows as a part of their fair too. So that may be something that you see maybe more of, or maybe you'll see more people participate in that next year.
Okay.
So that kind of kicks off. That's the only thing happening on Wednesday, July 12th. That's at 7 o'clock on Wednesday. But it'll just be, like a typical market show out there at the fair. But then you have on the backside the carcass part that'll happen out at Circle M.
Okay.
So, but that'll be an interesting addition that they have.
Yeah, for sure.
And so then on Thursday, July 13th and Friday, July 14th will be the harness racing starting at 6 p.m. Admission that day is $5 per person each day. Mm-hmm. I will say on Wednesday, July 12th, admission is free. So you don't have to pay to get in to see that new livestock show.
Sure.
It's kind of like a soft opening of the fair of sorts. On Saturday, July 15th, the cost of admission is $10. That day is Country Music Day and it's sponsored by Total Media. Mm-hmm. That Thursday and Friday is sponsored by our good friend Carmen's Used Cars, Mark Carmen.
Hey, Carmen.
And that day, they'll have Neil McCoy as the big headline act there on Saturday. opening for him, there will be
Simba Jordan.
Simba Jordan.
There he is.
Yeah, he'll be opening for Neil McCoy at 7:30 p.m. and then Neil McCoy will go on the stage at 9 o'clock.
Okay.
So he'll be the big act out there on
Awesome.
Saturday. Also on Saturday, that kind of marks the official opening of the fair. They'll have the opening ceremony there on the midway stage at 4 o'clock, and the crowning of the Junior Fair Queen in court will follow. So they'll do all that. They usually present some scholarships. Usually the president of the Jackson County Fair Board says a few words. Usually have a few folks from the state representatives that come down and present some commendation saying, congratulations on this year's fair. This year marks the 168th annual Jackson County Fair.
Wow. 168?
168th.
Wow.
Yeah, Jackson County Fair. And like Pete was saying, it will run Wednesday, July 12th through Saturday, July 22nd. The theme this year is Red, White, and Bloom in 4-H. The theme was submitted by a McKinley Carpenter of Barnyard Rascals 4-H Club. They do themes every year. Usually one of the kids come up with it. And the Jackson County Fair Midway will once again feature rides, food, and games. And the mission, for the most part, the 13th and 14th will be $5, and then the rest of the fair, it'll be $10 per person. I will say that when I was studying the fair book that they put out, if you plan to visit the fair every day, you may look at maybe getting a season ticket. Those season tickets are valid July 13th through the 22nd. It's a great cost savings for an individual. The season tickets are only $40 per person.
Okay.
So if
you're
you
going to
pay
go a few times.
Yeah, if you're going to pay at the gate the entire time, you're looking at $90 over the course of the fair. So you'd save yourself a little money. But that's kind of a rundown through Saturday. I think on Sunday, let me find it here. Got too many papers. I feel like Pete Wilson this morning. Sunday is... Where is Sunday? Here it is, Sunday, July 16th. They will have something new at the grandstands this year at 6 p.m. It'll be autocross.
Yes.
And that is something they haven't had there in the past, I don't believe. And they will be doing that on Sunday. So that kind of gives you a rundown of the first few days. And I know we'll be back in later in the week and can talk about next week.
Very good.
But from Wednesday, July 12th through... July 29th, if you count the Vinton County Fair. That's back-to-back county fairs there.
It just keeps on going.
Yeah, keeps on going. So there's a quick rundown, but as Pete said, we'll have the schedule and a complete rundown in Wednesday's edition. It's a very long story with a lot of the acts and entertainment.
Awesome.
And be sure to watch in future editions. I will once again be doing my 4-H profiles, where I feature a 4-H'er and their animal. I do one per animal species. This year, Jen, instead of doing 8 profiles, I will be doing 9 because they added a new animal species. And yes, what they added.
Well, we already have turkeys.
Right?
Hamsters.
No hamsters. They added ducks.
Ducks.
They added ducks this year. So I will be interviewing a 4-H'er
so we went from turkeys and now we have ducks.
Yeah. So
awesome.
Yep. That adds another one there. So we'll have 9 of those that I'll be doing with photos. So be sure to watch for those in future editions of the Telegram. Yeah.
All right.
And
thanks,
to date, I think I've done 32 of those now.
Nice.
I started doing those in 2019.
Love that.
So I'll turn my chair over to Mr. Buffington here.
Come on over, Philip.
We can talk about everything going on in the city of Wellston.
Yes. So Phil thanks, Jeremiah. I think Phil was able to cover the council meeting the other day, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So how are you doing?
Good.
Did you plant a garden this year?
We have a little raised garden that we put like tomatoes and sugar snap peas and carrots and stuff in.
Cool.
Yeah. No, we don't ever put very much, but it does pretty well.
Yeah, good deal.
I'll keep it pretty quick. There's a special council meeting tonight, mostly because there were 2 council members not present for the Thursday night meeting, and they needed to pass some legislation in emergency fashion. You need 6 to do that, and only had 5.
It's hard when it's vacation season.
Yeah. There's several things they're going to consider tonight at the special meeting, but the more prevalent ones, one is an item of legislation that would seek the evaluation of a Parks and Rec levy, a 5 mil Parks and Rec levy that they had talked about in the past. The main intent of that is to fund the construction and upkeep of a city pool.
Yes.
And that'll go on, hopefully, if they can get everything done in time, it'll go on the general election ballots this fall.
Okay.
Another item that they're going to consider tonight is it will see the transfer of funds that will finalize the purchase of the Louis and another $30,000 to help fund the city's sesquicentennial.
Good job.
Yeah, I've been practicing.
We should have made Jeremiah try to say it.
So the Louis has been deemed structurally secure by the engineering firm DLZ.
That would be minus the roof.
I know
that it's lacking.
Right.
Okay.
So they're going to go ahead and say that they're not going to pursue it to be demolished. They're going to continue to try to get money to renovate the actual building.
Okay.
So the plan has switched a bit, but they're going to try to actually keep the building itself. Anyway, so
it's on again, off again,
yeah,
on again.
Yeah. I mean, I think everybody had initially thought, well, we'll probably have to tear this down.
Yeah.
We'll do something else with it. But now they've been given the green light to go ahead and keep the walls up. So we'll see how that plays out.
Okay.
And they've given themselves kind of a deadline of by the end of this year to see if they can raise the money. If not, then they'll probably go back to reconsider the demolition of the building.
I gotcha.
But the sesquicentennial, they talked about it prior to the council meeting. They have some ideas that they floated. One of which is they're going to sandblast and paint the Civil War era cannon that sits in Monument Square just across the street from Johnny's Restaurant.
Everybody knows where the cannon is.
And then they're going to actually try to fire it, because I don't know that they mean they're going to put a cannonball in it, but they fired it apparently at the Centennial in '73. So they're going to try to do that again.
If I were Johnny, I'd be a little concerned about my restaurant.
At least the water tower's not up on the hill anymore. They're not going to flood the town. So yeah, that's. And then some other ideas they had, they're going to put in like a welcome to Wellston sign that actually has electric run to it. They think they can run some conduit underground from one of the nearby lift stations.
Okay, yeah.
And another idea that they had talked about at the first meeting was to bring up the Centennial Vault that they buried in '73 that was meant to be left in for 100 years. And they were talking about bringing that up and adding to it and reburying it. Well, someone who had been very involved in that, Mr. Winters from Wellston, who was a local funeral director for many years, he said he was involved in burying that. He said it's a full-size copper casket. It's sealed. It's in a sealed concrete vault. And bringing it up is going to be more involved than what anyone had initially thought.
Gotcha.
And he thinks since he was involved in doing that and it was meant to be put down for 100 years, they should leave it there.
Okay.
So these meetings are ongoing. They'll continue to be ongoing until...
Maybe they could just do another one.
Well, he mentioned that too, because he said on the other side of the monument that marks where the vault is, it's blank. So he recommended if you want to do something like that, bury something of your own, and then have it come up in 100 years, and then you have every 50 years something's come
so
up.
on and so forth. Yeah.
So that could be something that happens. There's still a lot left to be figured out, and they're still seeking ideas from the public. So if you have a pretty good idea that you'd like to see what would happen, and most of it's going to take place during this year's Ohilco Days in early September. So that's where we're at. There's more to it, but we'll have more to say on this as it happens. But the meeting is tonight, 6:30. Hopefully they can get enough people there to get the levy option passed to get that certified, and then they'll move forward with the next step, which would be actually approving it for the ballot. So
okay, good deal.
Yep.
And let the people decide, right?
Yeah, I hope that they think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
Wellston hasn't had a pool for a few years now.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, I mean they've completely filled in where it used to be, and the only other options to drive to Jackson or Athens, I suppose. I mean, there's not many city pools left anymore. So
yeah, and I understand why cities have kind of done away with them because they are a huge expense. But at the end of the day, when when kids don't have anywhere to go, like
I think I
mean, we all grew up going to I had a pool at my house, but like we still went to the city pool because it was more of a social event.
Yeah.
It's something to do. It's a place where everybody goes and hangs out, and you can see your friends during the summer. So
Right. And I mean, with a levy like that to operate it, they won't have to charge a whole lot for people to get in.
Right.
So
And that's a good
it'll be
thing.
something for everybody to enjoy, hopefully.
Yep, love that. All right, well, Phil, thank you so much
No problem.
for tuning or for reporting in, and Dylan, you did so well pushing all the right buttons this morning. Yes. All right. Well, we will be back here tomorrow. So thank you so much for watching, and enjoy some sunshine out there today and cooler temperatures
Yeah.
for a minute.
Yeah, for a minute.
Until the middle of the week. So we'll see you right back here tomorrow. Bye-bye.